Breaking Bad, episode 511, Confessions. Alright, first off, right off the bat, we have a lot to talk about here, and, I apologize if I forget any of it, but holy fuck. A lot was going on in that episode. It was a very intense, just shit going down type of episode, which it's going to be from here on out, obviously, but, after a slow first 20 minutes, it got a lot happened in the last 40 minutes. So like I said, if I forget something, feel free to bring it up in the comments and whatnot. But I think we have to start off kind of with the ending because there's a lot to process there. Jesse's standing on the side of the road. He's waiting to get picked up to go disappear and start a new life. And before it cuts to commercial break, he starts looking at all his pockets, and he pulls out his cigarettes, and he's freaking out. And then he walks away when the van pulls up that's supposed to take him away. Cuts to commercial, and I'm sitting there trying to figure out what happened. And this is what I thought, and it made sense to me until what happens at the end. But I thought that Jesse was looking for his phone, and then he didn't have it on him, so he's like, oh shit. The Huel, the black security guy for Goodman, stole the phone off of him, so he couldn't make any last-minute calls, couldn't change his mind, couldn't call Hank or something like that. And he realized, oh, I'm not going to go disappear to Alaska, I'm going to go get killed. That's what I thought. But it turns out Jesse figured out what Walter did to Brock, his girlfriend's, son. Except this is where I get a little confused, and someone please jog my memory. And a lot of my friends, I think, are confused a little bit too. They didn't use the ricin to poison Brock. Walter used the plant that was in his yard. So I'm kind of confused on that. I don't remember. I remember they took the ricin off of Jesse at some point. The cigarette, the ricin, and Walter has it in his wall. But I forgot what they took that off of Jesse for. My best guess, and I'm sure this is something I should probably know as a big fan of the show, but my best guess is they did that so that when Brock got poisoned, they could be like, well, Gus took the poison off of you, the ricin, and he used that. To poison Brock, even though that's not what they used to poison Brock. So please, somebody clarify that for me. I feel a bit confused, but I know I'm not the only one. I've had a litany of fucking texts after the show, what happened? What's going on? So no, I'm not alone being slightly confused, but regardless, that was an excellent episode filled with all sorts of crazy twists and turns and big moments. There are two moments that stand out to me, so I guess I'll focus on those. The one big one was the dinner, if you could call it that. When they go to sit down at this restaurant, and Walter and Skyler try to say to them, look, it's over, we're not doing this anymore, you're only going to hurt Walt Jr. and our kids and blah blah blah. And of course Hank and them, they weren't going for it, and Walter had a confession made up. And I remember they showed before one commercial break him starting the confession, and you're like, well, why is he doing that? What's this supposed to accomplish? And my best guess, as well as someone else I know, their best guess was, he's doing it, he's making a confession so that when he gets caught or whatever by Hank, Hank arrests him, he'll have this video there saying that, Skyler wasn't involved, his family didn't know, they'll be protected. And in great Breaking Bad fashion, that was not the case. This was Walter winning again. Walter is the great manipulator, and in this episode they really showed him to be a great manipulator. Classic Walter. He manipulated everybody. But yeah, the confession was him saying, Hank made me do all this. My brother-in-law made me do this. Now, I don't think that was... It's not exactly great evidence against Hank. But Hank saw through it correctly in saying, well, it was mostly a threat to us to let us know that he'll implicate us if we try to do anything. And they'll have this big old story, and then, you know, Hank and Marie will be investigated and on top of everything. It was a pretty good play on Walter's part because it slows them down for sure. It makes them think twice. But it was also great, like that video as well as the dinner scene itself. It was great in showing, you know, Hank and Marie just recently found out what he did, but they've never seen his Heisenberg side, his dark side. And they finally got to see, like, as Hank and Marie are watching this video, I'm like thinking what's going through Hank's mind, and he's probably going, man, this guy is way more sick and twisted than I ever even imagined after knowing how that, like, the things he's done. They finally got to see that part of Walter where he will kill you. He'll do anything to protect himself. And then the other, I thought, really great scene in this episode was with the meeting between Walter and Jesse in the desert. And as I'm watching that scene, you know, Walter's manipulating Jesse again. He's telling him, hey, you know, maybe the best thing for you, he's like, I don't like to see you hurting. Maybe the best thing for you is just try to start a new life, put this behind you. It'll all be like a bad dream, like didn't really happen. And the whole time I'm watching that scene, I'm like, Jesse's not an idiot. Like, he does stupid things like throwing the money out. But I'm telling my buddy who's watching it with me, who just kind of started watching the show, I'm like, Jesse is seeing through this, and he knows that, like, right at the beginning of the scene, I'm like, man, Walter's thinking of killing him already, because basically he's telling him, you have to leave town or I'm going to kill you. That's essentially what Walter was telling him in his whole speech about how you could get a better life somewhere else and this and that. And Jesse did see through it, and he called him on it, and it was a really great scene where he's just like, just stop, you know, fucking with me for once and tell me that you need me to leave town or you're going to kill me. And it was great. Like, Aaron Paul, once again, I think probably the best actor on the show. I think he's better than Bryan Cranston, probably. And it was a weird response from Walter. I thought he was going to say, yeah, Jesse, like, that's what you have to do. He didn't say it, but that was the case. And he just walked up and hugged him. And Jesse was, like, breaking down while he's hugging him. And what Hank said to Jesse early on in the episode is true. He's like, man, this guy's really done a number on you. It's like, as you watch this episode, you're like, man, Walter has really destroyed Jesse's life. Where, you know, maybe if he never met Walter, he could have quit doing what he was doing and just became a normal person. But Walter shaped him into this very, very broken person who I feel bad for anyways. But yeah, then at the end, Jesse decides he's not going out of town, and he busts in and nearly kills the lawyer. And then he goes to Walter's house and starts pouring gasoline all over. He's not going to burn down the house, obviously. We know that. The house will still be there. I think either Walter or... What I think will happen is Walter Jr. will come, like, walking out of his room with his crutches, and Jesse will be like, oh, holy shit, and skedaddle out of there. And, but then I think Jesse does go and confess to somebody, because in the preview for the next episode, he says, you know, Mr. White is a monster. So, who knows who he's saying that to? I'm assuming it's to Hank. He could be saying it to Skylar. Yo, Skylar, your husband who you're trying to protect, man, like, he poisoned my girlfriend's kid, this and that. Really excited to see next week, because I think, yeah, next week is, like, the halfway point through the final episodes here. But, fortunately, I won't get to see it right away, probably, and I won't probably have a reaction video right away. I'll do one probably a couple days down the line, because I'm going to be, in another country attending my sister's wedding. So, believe me, if it's on there, I'll be watching it, but you probably won't get a reaction out of me until I get back. But anyways, that's my thoughts on it. Please, someone clarify what's going on with the cigarettes and the ricin and the poisoning of Brock. Like, I feel like I should know this, like, 100%, but it was a little confusing to me, and I wasn't the only one, so someone let me know. Anyways, otherwise, thanks for watching, and can't wait to hear everyone else's thoughts. Later.